Hi, my name is Sean Grube. I'm the Executive Director of Bald and Beautiful Affairs here at the U. Just kidding. I'm actually the Executive Director of Housing and Residential Education here at the U. Today we're going to be answering some of your questions on the UAsked series. So exciting story. I've just been here under 4 months now, so I'm pretty new at the U and still getting used to the Valley, but absolutely love it here. My job is to really make sure that students have an amazing experience while they live on campus. We know that students who live on campus tend to have a higher GPA, they're more likely to graduate on time, and they're more likely to be involved in campus. And so that's really what I view my job as, making sure that students have an amazing experience. That involves campus planning, doing some future planning for new residential buildings, making sure their administrative functions are done well, and most importantly, just making sure that students have a fantastic experience in our buildings. Ashton asks, how many people typically live on campus during the fall semester? So this fall, we will have 4,843 students that live on the campus proper. And we actually just announced on July 5th that we will be leasing a property called U of U at the Draw down in Sugar House, and that will hold 160 residents. So we'll just be over 5,000 residents for this fall. All right, Jay asks, what's the history behind the Sage Point dorms? So you may know in 2002, Salt Lake City hosted the Winter Games, and so that was part of the Olympic Village construction. So both Benchmark and Sage Point were part of that as well. And you may know we're actually looking to bid on the Olympics again in 2030 or 2034. So keep on the lookout for that. Sydney asks, what are the different housing options that the U offers? We've got suite style, we have apartments, we have pod style, we have a lot of different types of housing depending on what you're looking for. So go ahead and check that out, and you'll also be able to see all the rates that are associated with each type of room. Carlos asks, how is housing dealing with the parking issues with the number of new students and sporting events that take place on campus, and how will parking be prioritized? All right, Carlos, parking is a little bit out of my jurisdiction, but I'm going to put on my parking hat and I'm going to see what I can do for you here. So I will tell you that we know that parking is really important to students who live on campus. And so in our new construction, that's something that we're actively looking at. There's a lot of different options for parking, of course, surface parking, structure parking, those come with associated costs. And so one of the things we take into consideration is, would we be eliminating any parking by building new construction? But then how accessible is parking, and how expensive would it be for students? So, for example, a parking structure is quite a bit more expensive than flat spaces. And so just in our new construction, we're really mindful of the density as well as just the student experience, getting to and from, public transportation, etc. How will parking be prioritized? That's definitely, even with my parking hat on, that's a little bit outside of my area of expertise. So I would have to defer to my friends in commuter services for that one. But thanks, Carlos. Jack asks, how do students get prioritized based on reservation? So a couple different terms in there. The prioritization process, that I will just say, is really a randomized process for students. So we open the application, and then we have a preferred priority date, which is April 1st. So for this past fall, everybody that applied between February 9th and April 1st is put into a randomized group of individuals, and then you're given a time slot that you're able to go in and then see if you're able to reserve a room. So it is a randomized process as long as everybody joins by that priority date. And then there's a second process for everybody who joins after April 1st. Rachel asks, how is HRE going to prevent power outages and plumbing issues? So Rachel, I've just been at the U for 4 months, so I'm a little bit unfamiliar if this has been a kind of longer term issue. I will say that our campus facilities team is pretty amazing. So they're the folks that help us do snow clearing and landscaping. I've been here for one power outage that we had this spring, and we pretty much immediately convened a university team of facilities folks who are responding and looking at emergency procedures and those types of things. So I would just say that we have a really close relationship with our campus facilities, but we also have an in-house team that is the folks that are addressing your day-to-day work orders. So everything from those minor plumbing issues to leaks, to lights not working, etc. So I do feel like we've got a pretty good plan for students that live on campus. Jillian asks, with the rising price of housing, how is HRE addressing affordability for students living on campus? How are the prices of rooms determined? Jillian, thanks for this question. So this is something that's really near and dear to my heart. I have worked in student housing really for my entire career. I started working at the front desk of my residence hall the first day of my freshman year, and I've had most jobs between there and being executive director. So affordability is something that is really important, not only to students, but just to me personally. We want to make sure that students can afford to live on campus just because we know how great of an experience it is for them. So we're definitely fighting a tough battle right now. So construction costs are at an all-time high. And so when we look at new housing projects, there's a budget in place for those things. And so we don't just start construction and then see how much it costs when we end up. We have to go to the state. We have to ask for a certain amount of money with a plan to pay that back through the enterprise of housing students in that building. So we definitely look at how much it costs per bed to construct a building, and again, make sure that's in line with the affordability of living on campus. So prices are determined. We look at things like what were the utility costs for the next year, what is the cost for new construction. Really what we want to do is try and keep those prices as low as possible. So as opposed to a landlord who lives off campus, we're not trying to profit from students. We just really want to sustain the operation. So we're trying to make sure that we have enough money to really operate the building, and then have a contingency for things that are kind of bigger ticket items like elevators or roofs or carpet and paint. And so really we're just looking at kind of the long-term affordability of housing all over campus. And Liam asks, can you go on the roof? Liam, absolutely not. That's a silly question. Why did you ask me that? No, Liam, we cannot go up on the roof. It was recently just the 4th of July, and so that would have been an awesome place to look at fireworks, but we do not allow students up on the roof. I don't even get to go up on the roof. Taylor asks, what is being done to keep up with a growing university? Taylor, that's an awesome question. Housing is the focal point of a growing institution. We've got to have a place where students are able to call home, where they're able to feel a part of campus. And so that's something we're actively looking at right now. Right now, as I indicated, we have about 5,000 beds for the fall semester. We want to keep growing. And so growing as an institution means we need to grow housing as well. And so that's something we're actively looking in. We have 1,100 beds that are in various stages of construction for the next 2 years. We've acquired some beds off campus for upper division students this past year, but we're also looking at some new projects that aren't even in the books yet. So we're in the planning phases for some of those, but it's incredibly important to really make sure that we're building the university proportional to the enrollment.
What are the projects that you're working on, if you can talk about it, in terms of like new buildings and structures?
Yeah, so the 2 building projects we have in preparation. So for folks that are familiar with Collard Village, it has 3 wings right now, and we are constructing a 4th wing to that building. So that just started in summer 2022, and it'll be complete for fall of 2023. So over this next academic year, we'll be adding 425 beds to KB. And then the next project we have happening is the Epicenter, which is the Health and Prosperity Center. That it just started construction. It's a 2-year project, so it'll be ready for fall of 2024, and that's roughly 700 beds. So we'll be adding, again, about 1,150 beds over 2 years. We're actually in some planning phases for quite a few more beds, so a couple thousand more beds. We're really trying to decide what is the best in class housing that we can offer you students, and so that involves things like student activities and programming and location and transportation. So very early on for that, but still something I'm very excited about. Thank you for the questions today. Hopefully I've given you some good answers, not only to consider HRE at the U, but just the U in general. It's a fantastic place. You will love being here, and so I encourage you to check us out.